So I'm kind of like Pearson Airport. We're going to be taking off right at 6:30, so
Absolutely.
the last
We
people
clear
in
it just to make sure we don't miss a scintillating everything.
Perfect. Sitting up in business class is what we call it. So first I got to ask the people in the back why you chose coach when business class was up here. Now if you're a guest, you might think it's easier to sneak out from the back. Actually, it's a lot easier to sneak out from the front. And I can tell the difference between you going to the bathroom and you going to the bathroom and leaving. So it's not worth even trying. It should take about an hour, so I've gone over this talk several times. Linda will be doing some talking tonight, but Linda actually designed the whole talk, so she's my wife. So all the research came from her, and then I put the slides together, and then I have the chiropractic slant and the lifestyle slant so that people understand where we're going, because we need to teach people, we need to lead people, because I look around society, and society doesn't seem to be doing very well from a health point of view anymore. They seem to be making some serious mistakes. So welcome tonight, and this is my son who added this in. Please silence your phone. Those disturbing noises we hear all the time on social media and our phone, they're that way for a reason. It makes us feel popular when our phone beeps and blurps and does all these sounds, isn't it? As you can see what my son Adam did. Now these are our talks for the next several months in our office. So we're doing a keto night next month. A lot of people are confused with the ketogenic diet, so we're going to talk about that. Now, if it's red, it means, that won't stop, I'm sorry, it's going to keep going, I guess. So if it's red, it means I'm serving you some food and you're getting a lecture, all right? So the one after that is called Surviving Christmas. That's the one where we're going to actually... That's the one where we're going to teach you how to not put on weight at Christmas time. So that's a really good idea. If you go into the Christmas season with the mindset of making better choices, then you're going to have better outcomes. But when we get to these great holidays, you know, it's the birth of our Savior, we're celebrating it, and you know what we do? We get in debt. We eat the wrong foods, we choose to not exercise, and it's a celebration, and it's like, it's not a celebration, you're just taking the temple of the Holy Spirit and you're desecrating it all month. So I want you to think about, I'll give you 3 bad days of eating at Christmas, alright? If you use them up on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, you're out of time, alright? And the rest of the month is going to be tough for you. But you can't eat bad for a month without ramifications. So the people that want to take better care of themselves, come out here, we got some treats and some snacks that night. The second part of my talk is going to be in January, the social high-tech media talk, the fact that people are killing themselves with their phone. And for those people who didn't show up for that workshop, now you have to come to my New Year's weight challenge because you put on 10 pounds and didn't listen to me. For the people that came here, they're already motivated, they've set their goals, and they're doing great for the year. Then we finally end up having a recipe night in February. The date isn't set yet, but this is called Death by Chocolate. It's really not chocolate, it's cacao, it's cocoa, it's stevia-based foods. So you're going to swear you're eating chocolate, but you're not eating chocolate. Okay? Sound good? Now, the first thing we're going to go over an overview in a second here, but when people go, the reason why we showed you our next 4 months in the office is because we're looking at developing relationships with people so that people understand this is your body, you need to commit to taking better care of it. Now the question I want to ask you, or start with you, is when do people go and see doctors? People go and see doctors when they're sick. How do they know they're sick? They got a symptom. And how about this? Some people say, well, I go to my doctor for a checkup. Well, now they're going to look for sickness at an early stage. And we always say that's when people do it. I want you to change that thought to it. That's when you do it, all right? And now you have to change that. Because waiting to get sick and then trying to get better, it makes absolutely no sense. A little history on me. Last month was a month that I got to, 29 years last month since any medication has gone into my body. It was 3rd year chiropractic college, and I took an antibiotic, and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. So I just stopped taking drugs. And it's not like I had an incredibly great lifestyle. I just worked on my lifestyle bit by bit by bit. So in the last 27 years of practice, I think I've missed 5 or 6 days. It's hard to keep track of it because I just don't get sick. My last sick day was over 4 years ago. Now, why don't I get sick? Because I just make better choices most of the time. And if I do get sick, I'll get a cold. It'll last a day, and then it'll be done. It won't be laying in bed for 2 days taking Tylenol. My son Mitchell last October had a nose operation. First time in his life he took Tylenol, he was almost 23. And people are always shocked by that. And they say, hey, when we were young, Tylenol didn't exist. We got through our childhood years without Tylenol also. So don't buy in on the lies that you need drugs to stay healthy, because the sick people take drugs. Healthy people don't take drugs. You can be healthy too. Tonight we're going to talk about biomechanics of the spine. So you need to know a bit about the spine so that you can understand why people are damaging the spine. Then we're going to talk about the impact of health by tech and disease associated. Even though these two things seem the same, they are different. So when we're talking about the impact on health, these are things like, oh, I got a sore neck, I got a headache. If you leave that condition, it will eventually turn into a disease. So think of life like a continuum. You've got full human potential, full life over here, and way over here you have death. And we're constantly sliding back and forth between these points. So the better choices that you make, the healthier your body could stay. And that's why we say you have to be engaged in a lifestyle to keep you well. That's why there's always the next workshop. And it's called a workshop because I want you to go home and I want you to do some work. It's like a relationship with God. It's just not, hey God, I need something. Hey God, I need something. And hey God, remember me, I need something. That's not a relationship, all right? Praying for things that you think you want isn't necessarily the solution. My son Adam's looking forward to this job that he really wants, and people are praying for him. And I say, don't pray for the fact that he gets the job. That's telling God what God should be doing. What we say is, give us a prayer for serenity, so that no matter what happens, we're okay with it. Because it's not my job to tell God what's supposed to be happening. So relationships are good times, they're bad times. They're relationships. So when people only choose to see a medical doctor or a chiropractor when they're sick, it's really not a relationship. That is a treatment form for disease, and it's not working. Because we just talked about, we get sick and see our doctors, and ironically, we call that health care. Personally, I call it sick care. Because you go see your doctor when you're sick, and you go back when you're sick, and they look for sickness. That's not health care. It's always going to be sick care, and if we look around society, people are getting sicker and sicker. Enough is enough with that. I'm going to show you the science to support what we're talking about tonight, and of course we're going to give you solutions. Because when you leave, I want you to have some solutions. Because your children and your grandchildren, they're not going to put down their cell phone. All right, they're going to keep using it, but you need to have some rules. Because if you don't have rules, I'm going to show you what's going to happen to their spine. Okay, it's willing participant time. This is my bowling ball. I used to be able to throw it. It's a 15-pounder. I throw a 13-pounder now, and yes, I'm a bowling geek. I've never beat my wife because she's a better bowler than me. So, Ursula, can I borrow you for one moment?
Yes,
Ursula, you're going to put this in your hand. This is going to simulate someone's head. So you're going to put your fingers in there, and then you're going to hold it in the proper position. Now, when you're in the proper position, you can use your other hand to support you like that. You can notice that when it's in this position, Ursula can stay in that position for a long period of time. Now, Ursula, what happens if I move it forward 1 inch? I move it forward 2 inches.
It doesn't feel terribly comfortable.
Yeah,
and it's going to fall.
And it's going to fall. See, the whole idea is, thanks Ursula. So the whole idea is, this is your head and your spinal cord. We're supposed to have this beautiful curve, and if things are lined up properly, biomechanically, everything goes great. As soon as I move it forward a half inch, as soon as I move it forward an inch, I generate a whole lot of energy to keep it in this place. If I was a person in physics, I would call that a moment arm. So I still remember some of my physics and math from high school. And when you create a moment arm is just a distance and then the effect of gravity. So if I have a moment arm, if I take a plank that's 6 feet long and I put 5 pounds on the end of it, it's going to collapse because the further the distance. So when you see your kid's head bend forward, it creates so much stress in their spine. And this is, potentially the same weight as your head. Now let's get you to sit up in chairs. I just want to show you what happens when their head goes forward. So if we're sitting up in the chair, and let's sit up nice and straight. And let's all take a nice deep breath in. And then all the way out. Great. Move your head forward about an inch and take a deep breath in. And all the way out. You know, I'm not a magician, but you feel that, don't you? What you're feeling is you've lost 30% of your lung capacity by going forward. So when I'm standing here, I want my ear over my shoulder. You guys see these people in church. You see them in the wall. Their heads are way out there. Every inch your head goes forward, it's like your head weighs another 5 pounds. 2 inches forward, now your 10-pound head is 20 pounds. 3 inches forward, your 10-pound head is now 25 pounds. You know what's going to happen? It's going to cause so much stress, it's going to cause headaches, that things are going to start to fuse together. So the bowling ball, like I said, the approximate weight of your head, the curve that we talked about, what happens, well, that's a rhetorical question. What happens when your posture is not perfect? Your body can't work right. Real simple. And every inch forward, we talked about that, that's 5 pounds. Now, this is a very interesting video. Let me get this started for you. And this is what a normal looking spine. You're going to see that beautiful curve to the spine. And I'm going to show you, whoops, got to go backwards. I'm going to show you what happens to that. Or am I? This is where Adam comes in. But is Adam here? Yeah. Okay. this is where life falls apart. Because if can you get that to start up for me? So this is a video, and it goes through what aging will look like when people lose the curve to their spine. Okay, so you can see that there's change here. Commonly, we see a lot of people who don't take care of themselves. Their spine ends up straight. You're going to see these beautiful square bones start to get these horrible shapes to them. And this is what we see, unfortunately, when many people wander into my office. So this is what we call a phase 4 degeneration. Now the problem with that is your spinal cord. See that sheet in front of you? Phase 4 degeneration is all the way to the right. Now the problem with this is your spinal cord runs through those bones. And if those bones are fusing together, your spinal cord is going to have interference on it. And that means the nerves that go to every muscle and every organ in your body can't work right. So I get it. People walk in here and they say, Dr. Jeff, got back pain, my foot hurts, my low back hurts. And they act like that's going to kill them. It's not. No one has ever died from neck pain. All right? You just don't die from it. However, the same nerves that are getting pinched, these same nerves, they go to vital organs in your body. That's why you have to understand that. Medicine has made you believe that you can run your body based on sensory. God only designed 10% of your nervous system to be sensory directed. The other 90% of your nervous system, it keeps your organs functioning, and it's beyond your conscious control because he knew you'd screw it up. All right? So that's why he protected it. That's why he did that. When I go to bed, I don't think, oh, I should remember to breathe. It's like, no. I'm going to, oh, did I digest my food? Did I give myself insulin? I don't have to do any of those things if my nervous system's in balance. Now, if I've, for one reason or another, ended up being a diabetic, whether it's lifestyle or bad luck, however you want to look at it, like my younger brother, now he's got an insulin pump. He has to rely on an insulin pump to make his decisions for the rest of his life. It's a little more complicated than what I have to do, because I don't have to do anything, because my body's designed to work perfectly. So the impact of poor posture. Well, in the animal kingdom, when you look at the animal kingdom, it's all about posture. It's all about who's in charge. Well, the way God designed our body is when we're standing in the upright, when we're in the alert position, your body, your hormones, everything works better. Your vital capacity. If I'm in this position, I can breathe. That gives me more energy. My serotonin levels. Everything is going to be better because my hormones can work better. I put someone in this position, and you know what? Negative thoughts go to your head. Your energy isn't the same because you can't breathe. This is what people are doing, aren't they? They're walking around with their phones like this all the time. They're stressing their spinal cord, and now their spinal cord is bending the wrong way. If I were to hand you a banana and say, okay, here's your banana, I'd like you to take that banana and I'd like you to bend it the other way. Not turn it and twist it the other way. I want you to bend it the other way, and I want you to not break the skin. I don't think you'd be successful. This is what your spinal cord has to be. And when you alter it and change it into another direction, it tractions your spinal cord and that's like being hung from the inside. You've just gotten used to it because it happens so slowly. You're waiting around for the symptom. High blood pressure, is there a symptom? No, that's called the silent killer. Heart disease, the first sign of heart disease is death in 40% of the people. And if people knew they were going to get cancer, they probably would have changed their lifestyle. You're waiting around. So the whole idea is you're in a model where someone's convinced you to wait, and here I am saying, wait, none of those things are supposed to happen to you. What was supposed to happen is you were supposed to listen to your innate intelligence. You were supposed to take better care of yourself. I look around at nature. Giraffes aren't putting on weight, you know. Giraffes aren't having trouble having babies anymore. Hippos aren't, you know, because, well, I guess they are kind of overweight. But yeah, they have the right body type based on who they are. But you look at humans, and we're screwing this thing up pretty big time. So what are we having? We're having 1 out of 6 couples are now having trouble having a baby. I think that's a problem from our society in the long run. Because people can't have, and you can't have a baby because you're toxic. Because your body can't grow that baby. Your bodies are supposed to be able to do that. So yes, it's a matter of having your body working right so your hormones work right. And where's my article? This was neat. I been kind of back and forth with a prof from U of W. And it was an article that was in the KW Record this week, and it was called Living Well with Dementia. So I read this article, and they're talking about, you know, living, and I said, well, I'm going to have to send this prof an email. So I send her off an email. I said, well, you know, I understand that, but maybe they misquoted you in the paper, and you know what, wouldn't it be better to maybe exercise before you get dementia? And she came back to me with her defense, and one of those things, I understand her point of view. But the concept of living well with dementia, it just, people are trying to sell you ideas that are stupid. And you have to understand that. Living well with cancer, here's a better idea. Don't get in a battle with cancer, okay? Because from what I understand, people get in lengthy battles with cancer and it doesn't always work out very well, because I read about it in the obituaries, where they have a 10-year battle, a courageous battle. You don't want to get into battle with certain things. If I see cancer, I want to cross the road and go down the other side of the road because it's safer over there. And that's lifestyle. But you got to understand it's the choices that you can make, and most people, they don't know it's a choice. They just think it's their genes. It's God's wrath. It probably isn't. He probably didn't want that to happen to you. It happened though. Digital overload. You are drinking from a fire hydrant. The amount of information that comes at you on a daily basis is incredible. So you know what you have to do? You have to find a way to filter it. Because we can't learn information the same way our generation, we're growing up with the new generation. So they rely on, you know, Dr. Google. They rely on what people think, the majority of people think. The reality is they've forgotten how to memorize. They've forgotten how to remember things. If they lost their phone, they probably wouldn't be able to call their mother anymore. You know? It's a crazy society. The problem with that is that affects your gray matter. 2 parts of your brain, gray matter and white matter. Gray matters are where the cells are, where all the information is held. And if you don't exercise your gray matter, that is going to change who you are. And here we are talking about living with dementia, and people can't memorize things anymore when they're young. Trust me, this is the same thing that we're talking about. People just don't understand it. They don't read. If they read, it's from a Kindle. You know what? I like books. When we were growing up, no one got reader's neck. You know, now we get text neck. Well, you get text neck because you're looking down at your phone. Well, people used to look down at a book, didn't they? They didn't have all sorts of neck problems. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's the light. Maybe it's the stimulation. Maybe they're doing it for too long. But looking at a book, no one would say, stop reading. You've read too much today. Doesn't make sense, does it? Tech isn't necessarily making your life good. Now, all tech is not bad. The amount of tech you're doing is absolutely bad for the younger people. And the whole idea is the information you're getting from there. It's almost like a highlight reel. It's almost like, in many cases, a show-off. Look what I have done. Some people, when they see that, they start feeling like they don't have a lot in their life. But you got to remember, this is someone's highlight reels. These are only the good things that happen in your life. Linda's already read Jordan Peterson's book. I'm starting to read it. I'm into chapter 2, and he's clear in the prologue. Yeah, it took 50 pages to get the first chapter of this guy's book. So it's a great book. But he's clear. He says in life, things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. in your life. And we've got this society that no one wants anything bad to happen, and things are going to happen. No one wants someone to die. No one wants these things to happen, but it's part of the life crisis that we all go through. So it's making sure we have the tools to deal with these things. And you're only seeing the good things that happen in people's lives. And that's so out of balance, the same way that when you watch the evening news, it's the exact opposite. It's pretty much the most horrible things that you're seeing around the world, and only little snippets of what someone did, not the other things that someone did. And then you're making your whole decisions based on that. So my suggestion is make sure you're reading, make sure you're looking at different sources for your news, and just not relying on one thing. And tech is bad when it's used to track people. One of my patients owns a company that was in the news recently. They have these display booths at the mall, and something went wrong with one of their display booths. I think it was in Edmonton, or was it in Calgary? I think it was Edmonton. And someone took a picture of it because they knew what was going on. It was face recognition software that's running. So people would go up there to get information, and they're getting information on you. And you guys all see it. You Google something, and then you go back online, and all I see for the next 2 weeks is, do you want to buy this car? Do you want to go on this vacation? Trust me. If you look at certain things in Google, they'll send you things that support that. So if I'm pro-vaccine, I get all sorts of pro-vaccine stuff, thinking, boy, am I ever right. If I'm anti-vaccines, all I'm going to get is... So you're getting manipulated all the time by the media. Most people just don't understand it's happening to them. So it's a matter of looking at this technology, and yes, there's some good aspects, but there's some pretty horrific aspects of it too. You need to be aware of that. The direct impact on tech on your health. Attention span. What did you say? People's attention span. It's not as good as it used to be. Sitting. Well, you end up sitting more. Sitting is the new smoking. We're lucky. I stand all day. Most of my staff were constantly walking around. We had a standing workstation before it was cool to have a standing workstation, because it just seemed to make sense to stand up at work versus sitting at work. When I'm sitting and someone asks me to do something, it's like, oh, all right, I'll do it. But if I'm standing, it's like, well, I'm already standing, so well, I'll walk over. So this is the whole idea. Standing, your body is more alert, your core is in better position, and you put a lot more steps in. Today isn't a great day. I'm only about 14,000 steps. So with me, some days I had a 20,000 step day last week, but every day is typically over 10. Occasionally I'll get a 30,000 step day, but those are rare. Those are only a couple times a year. But I'm lucky. I've designed my life around standing. And some of you can't do that with your job, especially if you're a bus driver. Don't stand, okay? It's very important. Memory. People have lost their ability to use their gray matter. And boy, you waste time. You get online to do something, and an hour later. Depression. The research is very clear. The longer and the more you're on social media, the greater increase in depression. But don't worry, there's drugs for that. And these drugs increase the chance of you causing something bad to yourself or to other people. So suicide and homicide, a lot of these medications, when you read the side effects, they clearly say the suicide. They don't say the homicide. I have research papers that show you the homicide if you ever want to see those things too. There's one research paper from 2010 from the Public Library of Science that talk about certain classes of medications increase the chance of not only suicidality, but homicidality. And this is from 2010. So every time a shooter does something, you don't hear much about it. You don't hear anything about their medication anymore. In fact, the last time you heard about it was probably Germanwings plane, where that pilot, the co-pilot, crashed the plane. They talked about it afterwards, and then all of a sudden, media stopped talking about it. Does that mean it went away? No. Just means someone told them to stop talking about it because the drug companies buy a lot of advertising. Don't kid yourself, guys. This is money. It's still happening, and when you look at the side effects of this medication, you need to know this. This is why I have these conversations, because it could be your child, it could be your grandchild. That's why you need to know this information, so that you can make choices that are better for you and your family. When you're with the social media all the time, you get separated from the flock. You start doing what you want instead of what society needs you to do. That's a problem. That leads to, you got it, depression again. New diseases of our time. Selfie addiction. So I'm looking up these. If we were young and we were walking around with our Polaroid cameras taking pictures, someone would have taken you and put you in a psychiatric hospital. And this is what people are doing nowadays. And it's like, it takes 10 to get one good shot, or 6, or whatever the magic number. It's a selfie addiction. Who would have believed that could happen, and now that's a disease state? Forward head position, text neck, we talked about that with, you don't get that with reader's neck. Altered sleep pattern, that's really not a new disease, but it's something that's obviously exacerbated. Social isolation. I've got 500 Facebook friends, but if I die, none of them would come to my funeral. Well, my criteria is they're probably not a friend if they're not going to come to my funeral. That's, you can have your own criteria, but that's crazy. People are alone, even though they think they have friends. A little confusing, isn't it? Increase in macular degeneration. Macular degeneration is part of your eye will burn out. So that's the part that you're focusing on. So that's like looking at people and you can't see them for the rest of your life because right where I want to look is where your macula is. I can never see you again. So I look at your face, I see around you. If I want to look at you, I got to look at over here to see you. Macular degeneration. You're not driving a car anymore. You're not enjoying life the way you want. You're probably not on your computer that much either. So, it's about... I know it's always about in moderation, but some things you shouldn't be doing very much. If I'm talking moderation, I don't want you to do a lot of these things because people spend way too much time doing it. Here's a disease, fear of missing out. How do you even come up with the name of a disease like that? I fear I might miss something because I missed a call or I missed a text. Or, you know what? I'm going to make the argument that if you're constantly looking down at your phone, you're probably already missing something, right? Life. You're missing life. Yeah, absolutely right. People don't get that. These are diseases nowadays, guys. They're probably mental illnesses, too, the way they reclassify these. How about this one? Nomophobia. No mobile phobia. So that's when someone doesn't know where their phone is. No mobile. They lose their mind. It's a crazy world, isn't it?
But they really do lose it.
They do. Yeah, literally. They can't cope. Okay, being hit by a car is not a new disease. However, more people are being hit by cars. We're going to show you the statistics on that later. Because they're looking down. And I see these people, when I walk down the road, I'm going somewhere. That's kind of my idea. I want to go from here to there, and I don't want to take the car. So I'm going to walk at a decent pace. I see these other people. And then they're walking through the crosswalk, and I'm waiting for them to go. And it's like, dude, I'm going to hit you because you're turned around. You don't understand you're in everyone's way. And they just don't understand it. Other diseases. Remember when we went to Nazareth? So that was just before the Labor Day weekend. So we go see Nazareth at Maxwell's. And, it's a band we used to listen to in high school. And then and this is all about the decibels, about the hearing loss. So we get home and I go, there's running water here somewhere. So I go to another room and I go, no, it's in here too. Oh crap, it's in all the rooms. And I was like, oh no, it's me. But you didn't notice it till you got home because it was that noise. And you go, this is horrible, and then by the next morning.
Oh, you were shouting all night.
Yeah, turn off the lights! And then the next morning, it was fine, but it was like we exposed ourselves. So we should have had hearing protection in there, and we were having a good time. We thought we were having a good time, but we weren't. So this is what happens. Those little earbuds that people are putting in. Remember, we had the big headphones, maybe, but they were connected to something. So you didn't go. How far could you go from your stereo? 10 feet if you had an extension, maybe 20 feet. You couldn't go far. But these kids have these earbuds in there, and they're loud. And the what's that? Oh, the boombox. Yeah, I guess you couldn't carry that. 39% of the children, 18 to 24, listen to music at dangerous levels. I'm sure it's not your children. I'm sure it's everyone else's children. Your children fit in the other category. They're only 61%. Thank goodness. Oops, this is important. This is about texting and driving.
It scares me, actually.
So this is a police officer. He's scared. Yeah.
I don't want to be walking with my own family and have somebody that's so distracted that they miss the red light or the stop sign.
Yeah. Isn't that terrifying? You don't understand. I see when I walk up Bridgeport Road, I see people at the lights. I'm like one of those guys where I've got both hands on the steering wheel, like I'm about to get, arrested. So I keep both my hands up there. So if anyone looks what to do, I've got both my hands. But as soon as I see hands start to disappear, as soon as I see, it's like you're texting. And I see you on the highway too. You're going like this. I'm looking at you in your side view mirror, and you're going. We know they're texting, but you've got to look at that. And if you get up beside these people at a light, you got to do what I do. Linda doesn't like me honking in her car because she says someone's going to beat her up someday. I do honk a fair amount. But I get up beside them and I let them know they're not supposed to do that. And the reason why I do it is I'm comfortable doing that because I know that I might stop them from maybe running over my child. So put it in terms that you can understand for yourself. So that you understand it's your job to say, hey man, you're not supposed to do that. You know you're not supposed to do it. And if they get upset about it, I'm sorry, but they're the one breaking the law. I'm not asking you to arrest him. You give him the honk of the horn and you give him the, what are you doing, buddy? This is how people die in accidents. And when you look at that, more people are dying from that. And we were all up in arms about drinking and driving. Now we have to worry about marijuana in, a few weeks because that's going to change everything. It's going to be great in Canada. And that's just another problem. So what do we have to do? We have to kind of come up with solutions. Because if we don't, these are going to be children, grandchildren, friends of yours who are going to be hurt by people. And if they're hurt, we don't want that to happen. Because when children or when people are walking through the crosswalk slow looking at their phone, they forgot that the drivers that are driving towards them are also texting. So they're walking slower in an area where they're more likely going to get hurt. It doesn't sound like it's a really great idea, but that's what's going to happen. So I don't want that to happen to anyone I know. My job is to try to make sure that you're aware of that. So just listening, and this is the thing too, just listening to someone. So Linda's car has Bluetooth, mine doesn't. And with the Bluetooth, if I'm taking a phone call, that's how much my brain gets distracted. 37% of my brain is focusing on my phone. I'm hands-free. I'm following all the rules of the law and I'm not doing anything wrong. But am I doing something wrong? I think so. Because that phone call is probably not that important. It's not that important, and that's what takes away, that's the difference between an accident and not an accident. So that's why you should be understanding this. University of Washington study on pedestrian, that's my word, zombies, not theirs, showed that people spend 1.87 seconds longer in a crosswalk, 4 times more likely to ignore or walk through a light. There was was it Amsterdam, one of those cities in Europe, they put they changed the line on the ground, the color of the line, and it's like, we're catering to the millennials. We shouldn't do that. The sign's always going to be there. Remember when we were young? Well, actually, this is neat too. When I was in New Jersey a few years ago, they had one of those stoplights, and it was so cool. Because now we have stoplights everywhere. I got one on this side, I got one on that side. There's like 8 of them or 10 of them in an intersection. So in this intersection in Hoboken, New Jersey, and it's one light, this great big arm that reaches out to the middle of the intersection with lights on all 4 sides. Does this remind you of, growing up? Because that's what a light used to be. So everyone would just look up there and go, oh, there's a light right there. Everyone sees it in the middle. I don't need one light here, I don't need a light over here, I don't need the hand over here. You're constantly being stimulated, and now to put a line on the ground because you're busy doing something, there comes a point where you have to be responsible for yourself. And, we don't want to hurt people, we don't want people to be hurt, but people just don't pay attention nowadays. Distracted drivers. A driver who is texting 23 more times likely to be involved in a car accident. Distracted drivers is now the #1 risk to Canadian road. 8 out of 10 collisions. Yeah. So this isn't just a sore neck, this isn't just you looking down. This is people dying because they chose their addiction over safety of everyone around you. People just don't, when Linda's researching this, I'm finding out stats like this that I didn't know either. This is scary, scary stuff when you look at it. And yeah, we can give people fines. And you know what? But they're an addict. They're going to keep doing it. Why? Because they don't think there's anything wrong with doing it. Because they haven't hurt someone yet. That's what our society is about. In a sense, I hate to use the word liberal, but we've gone too liberal with our thoughts in the sense. And we're saying, well, I understand what... No, I don't understand why you did that, because someone could be harmed. So, yes, there needs to be a balance in society, but we can't have understanding for people who are endangering us, our family, and our friends. Children and tech. The more children are involved in technology, the more time they spend inside, which means they don't get their vitamin D. And if you don't get your vitamin D, low vitamin D levels are linked to virtually every disease out there. Kids are so afraid of the sun nowadays because they don't go outside because they're inside playing soccer. I know, it's like, it's crazy. I talked about this, I don't know, you guys don't know, I guess you know, because some of you heard me through Faith FM. I've been on the radio for now 9 years, and we talk about this. And we were talking about safe grounds in playgrounds. Remember when we were young, you'd fall out of a tree, it would hurt. You'd learn to climb better, you'd learn to stop climbing. Now it's like, oh, we need a soft surface playground for these children. It's like, why? They're going to fall. That's part of life. Oh, let's protect them. Let's bubble wrap them. And then they're going to be fine. We can't protect them. They're going to get hurt. We learned to swim, and guess what? It took a while to learn how to swim. But then you had fun when you were swimming. Now, instead of swimming, let's have a splash pad. Now everyone can play on a splash pad. Well, that's great until you get thrown in the water and you can't swim and you drown, which was what happens every summer. So there's problems with society when it goes too far in one direction, in a sense. So yeah, it'd be nice that everyone could play, but everyone can play in a pool once you learn how to swim. You just have to put the hard work in there, and some people don't want to do the hard work. Well, God doesn't care. He wants you to do it, all right? So you can try it your way or you can do it His way. It just goes on. You know, you have to do it one way or another. But kids, you got to get outside and they play. The more you're inside, the more obesity and the internal environment. We talked about this on the radio show last week about the Canadian Medical Association did a study, and they found out that if you're not using green cleaning products, and they started on children, they looked at children that were 4 months of age. So the mother would be cleaning the house with just the normal toxic stuff that we all cleaned the house with, 20 years ago. And they found out the flora of these children was different. So basically the flora is what allows you to digest food, help you to eliminate food. In fact, in our body, there's more bacteria than cells. So people get confused, oh, I'm afraid of bacteria. Well, that's too bad, you can't survive, okay? We have to have a symbiotic relationship with our bacteria. But if you change and alter your bacteria, now that's going to change not only your digestion, it can change your mood. It's been linked to things like autism. So when we start talking about the gut-brain connection, and you're using a toxic chemical in the house, and that affects your child, the Canadian Medical Association journal showed that the BMI, which is, it's a measurement of your height versus your weight. Now, if your BMI is over 30, that's classified as obese. If it's over 25, you're overweight. If it's under 25, then you're proper weight or underweight. But they found out these children that were exposed to the toxic chemicals, their BMI was higher when they got older. Now, if your parents used the proper cleaning supplies, your BMI stayed normal. So it was very clear. This study just got released, and people just don't understand the impact of that. So then they go home and they plug in their Febreze, and they put a cup full of Unstoppable in their washing machine that makes your clothes smell good for 12 weeks. I don't have enough pair of underwear for the next 12 weeks. All right? And who cares if they smell? So I'm wearing them, then they're going to go in the one, they're going to wash them. But I don't have enough shirts for 12 weeks. Why do your clothes have to smell fresh for 12 weeks? And then we slather our body with 48-hour antiperspirants, which is someone telling me they're not going to exercise or bathe for 2 days, which I'm going to try to get into conversation to tell you that that's not a good idea either, because you should exercise and you should bathe, and you're supposed to sweat. And by the way, the 48-hour antiperspirant, it's probably got twice as many chemicals that we're throwing onto your body to stop you from doing something that your body is supposed to do, sweat. And yet we think it's a great idea. So we have, then we throw a Febreze sheet, or what is it, the bounce sheet in the dryer. This is what people do. The things that you do to make you smell good are going to kill you. They're bad for you, okay? So stop doing them. And if you do them, your body has a chance at healing. Your house is, your inside of your house is, they talk about the outdoor air quality. Don't worry, the inside is worse, all right? Because of what you're doing. You're better off going outside when there's smog. Going out when there's a forest fire, you're still safer outside. Their attention span is not very good. We see that decreased attention span. And they found out children that had the decrease, and the non-verbal skills, this is always funny when kids don't get, when my boys don't get where I'm going with this, they don't read things the same way because their life is a bunch of text. where when you communicate with someone, you can see them in their face, you can see if I'm angry, you can see if I'm joking, there's a difference. They found that children, when they took away their social media and they forced them to go to camp and play outside with other children, you know what? Their nonverbal cues got better. So it's a learnable thing. The same way that we learned to do these things. So yes, you can reverse it. It's just a matter of changing it. Is social media really making children social? No. I always find that when they call your phone a smartphone, I go, you're telling me it's a smartphone. I'm thinking it's pretty dumb, or it's going to make you dumb. Because they had to tell you what it is. When I meet people, they tell me how smart they are. I say, usually the people I meet that are smart, they don't have to tell me they're smart. Because I just get that they're way, way smarter than me. But when you have to tell me you're smart, it's like, okay, maybe you are, maybe you're not. But social media is the exact opposite of social. It's anti-social. You are isolating yourself. You're increasing the chance of horrible things to happen to you over time. Okay. I think I get that.
I want to mention
This is
to have
Mercola.
people not
This is on
necessarily
EMFs,
thinking that you are
electromagnetic fields.
somehow biologically immune to this. That just because you think you're smart or you know someone that you're not going to, you think you eat healthy and you're not exposed to toxins, that your biology can somehow not be impacted by this. And I want to tell you that is a delusion, an absolute delusion. You are damaging yourself. There's no way around it unless you're immediate with some of these strategies we're going to talk about. And you might be doing them and even not knowing it because you don't know the mechanism, you can't remediate. What is microwave radiation? I didn't expand on this. We'll go back to the mechanism. Your microwave oven, obviously, we talked about. Your cell phone, obviously. Your cell phone tower. Your Bluetooth headset. Any Bluetooth device. Any IoT, the Internet of Things. Your baby monitor. Your Wi-Fi router, probably the biggest and most pernicious thing. Yeah, this is going to be criminal. They're going to look back at this as like look at smoking now. Baby monitor, the most sensitive tissue in your brain, they're exposing this Wi-Fi. So you've got all this damage, and this damage, what will it do? It will cause single and double-stranded breaks in the DNA, in the mitochondria, in the nucleus. It decimates cell membranes and proteins. I mean, it's basically accelerating aging on steroids when you have EMF. In most cases, the microwave radiation exposure is more dangerous than X-ray. More dangerous than X-ray.
Because of the oxidative stress.
Yes, it's the oxidative stress.
The important point for listeners is just to understand free radicals are not good or bad. Bad free radicals are bad, good free radicals are good. Just like bad fats are bad and good fats are good.
Well, it's not so much bad free radicals, it's you need a certain baseline, so it's excessive free radicals. There's essentially industry conspiracy, and it really is a conspiracy. I mean, if you read the stories, it's just as bad as the drug industry, if not worse. That they're suppressing this information. It's the same damn thing. Any legitimate research that comes up is defunded and discredited.
That's a fair point. That is happening.
I realized a long time ago that really the way we're going to get this is not by going to the government or trying to change the law. That's not going to work. It has to come from the public. The public has to demand this and refuse to, relinquish their power to these authorities and rely on their belief that the only damage is thermal damage, and that is absolutely biologically untrue.
So this is what one of my patients comes in, and I don't understand this at all, but this patient comes in my office and he's going to help me with the electromagnetic forces. So he comes in here, does some weird funky testing that I don't understand, and he puts these things around all my computers. And then the next day my tenants come up who are borrowing my Wi-Fi. They say my Wi-Fi's not working. I say, oh, my Wi-Fi is working great. So it's one of those things that he put these pieces of copper around there and it changed how the energy flows. So like he said, you're in a sea of microwaves and EMFs all the time and you can't see them. So you think, since I can't see them, they're not there. They can damage your body. And it's important you understand that. The difference between 4G and 5G is 100 times the strength. That's a big number. You need to know that because that's where the world is going to. They're going to the 5G networks. On a 5G network, 10 to 20 more times antennas on the same tower. More waves going out. You want to be in Wi-Fi free zones whenever you can. So when you do this, then when you make some changes around your house, like unplugging your Wi-Fi, not using your Bluetooth, or turning off your Bluetooth, and only using it when absolutely necessary, your body's going to be a whole lot healthier in the long run. EMFs can increase the risk of cancer, heart disease, and sleep disorders, and they're now concerned with skin cancer with the 5G. So this is the latest research that you might not know. This is no different than the sugar industry saying, no, that sugar's not that bad, you know. People say it's bad, blame fat, okay? Let's blame fat, that's why people get heart disease. This is what you're getting into. Tobacco, lying about it's a bad thing. Alcohol saying, hey, this stuff isn't so bad. People are always trying to sell you something. You have to decide what you're going to buy. I look at technology as truly the Wild West when it comes to the choices. People aren't telling you the potential dangers of what's going on. So don't wait around. You have to make choices in your own household, and there's all sorts of things when you start going online and reading about Faraday claws, and that's another whole talk altogether. But you can't decrease the Wi-Fi in your house by simply doing some real easy things. Then you just have to, like I said, do like we do some research. Blue light, referred to as high energy visible light. That's from your cell phone. Penetrates deep into the eye, that can damage your retina. Long-term, cataracts. We already talked about macular degeneration, and it can also suppress melatonin. What will melatonin do to your
Sleep.
sleep? Yeah. One of the big issues, but don't worry, there's a pill for that. In the medical world, there's always a pill. You're doing things that mess up your hormone, and instead of not doing those things, you're messing up your hormones and taking a pill, hoping that'll fix things. I'd like to point out it won't. Okay? That's not a solution. Eye strain. Well, you can use eye drops, you can go to see your optometrist, or you can just start doing it less often. What do the gurus say? They say limit your use of social media. Steve Jobs, Linda, what did he say about that?
Well, Steve Jobs has said, well, he's no
When he
longer
was
with us.
alive, yeah.
But Steve Jobs said that his children would not use social media and have phones until they were in high school.
Yeah.
Without their supervision.
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates and Melinda Gates didn't get their children's phones until they were in high school.
Yeah. And then there's a group, but Linda, I don't have time to do this. It's called the Center for Humane Technology. These are people that were involved in getting Facebook going. They started understanding the dark side of it. So they've come up with, their penance in the sense. So they formed their own group, the Center for Humane Technology, because they understand that some of these things are moving in a horrible direction. And the people that are using it, they find it convenient. But goodness gracious, like I look at my kids and they talking about, oh yeah, if someone can track me on my phone. Yeah, that's a bad thing, These dating apps, oh, we cross paths. Well, someone's tracking every move you're making and you're happy about that. That's insane. You don't want people tracking every move that you're doing. That's our young society. Depression and anxiety. The fear of missing out. We talked about that one. It's not even real. It's just crazy. You're already missing out on life. And now people are using phones for gaming, surfing, and correcting me. I have a problem with that. So I'll say something, people start Googling and say, oh, you can't Google that. I'm right, just believe me. We have this society where everyone's an expert nowadays. It is nice, but I like to rely on memory too. And if I'm wrong, oh well, it's nice that you correct me, but not tonight. And when you're always on the phone, it takes away your exercise, your meal prep time, and your peace time. You know, we're growing up in a skip the dishes generation. You know, this and Uber Eats. Come on, guys, we used to make meals. Don't tell me that you're that busy. Don't tell me that it's easier for someone. It's easier for them to bring the food, but you're not being paid $100 an hour. You're not a lawyer getting paid $250 an hour, and you say, well, someone's going to bring me my dinner. Well, you know what? The rest of us, we have to make our dinner. We have to clean our house. We have to cut our grass. These are things that we all do. So don't try to tell me, because the people who bring your food, it is now 4 to 5 times the price of what it would have cost if you made that meal yourself. So no wonder people are running out of money. They're spending all their money on something they shouldn't be spending it on. You know what? If you spend your money, it's your money. But when you run out of money, that's your problem, all right? So make choices that are good so that you can retire and have the life you're supposed to. A study from Northwestern University, they found that the increased time people spent on the phone, it led to poor mental health. So that's a condensed, but that's what happens. The more time you're on it, the more likely you're going to have mental health problems. Easy enough to remember, isn't it? Start using your phone less often. Depression and anxiety. Your smartphone allows you to work all day and all night and look at blue light. That's not a good thing. Takes away from your family, it's going to lead to poor relationships. It's going to lead to expensive lawyer bills, I bet too. Weight gains, excessive from not exercising, so these are things, an impact on your mental health, and it's an addiction, and it's probably now an addiction that's classified as a mental illness nowadays. Everything's, anxiety's a mental illness. Anxiety was part of life. That's what you learned to do, and then you got better at it, and you weren't anxious anymore. But now it's a disease. And everything, people tell me they have PTSD, and I go, you didn't go to war. Everyone's got PTSD now. Okay, I guess if that's what you want. The science, if you really need any more. 2011, they did a study, 1,000 university studies. They asked them to not use their laptop, phone, social media for 24 hours. Hey, guess what? They couldn't do it. 24 hours. Linda did a 36-hour fast a few months ago. I can do like 18 hours, 36 hours. You know, people think they can't survive without food. We all have fat on our body, okay? You can survive without food. So our next workshop, when we get into the keto lifestyle, we'll talk about how we can become a fat burner instead of a sugar burner, because most of you are sugar burners. You're looking for that next sugar cube you're going to throw me so that you don't have to burn the fat that's on your body. But think about it. People always were able to eat food and store food on their body, and they never got 3 square meals a day all the time. They didn't have 3 snacks in between. They got food when they got food 100 years ago or 200 years ago. And you know what? Boy, they look a lot fitter now, don't they? You look at those little church pictures, and you see these people, there's no one overweight. You look at pictures of people in their 50s when they're on the beach, and they all look like they're Hollywood people. You go, oh, look at that. It's because they were in shape. They walked everywhere, they biked everywhere, and they ate better. They didn't eat as much sugar. The British Columbia Chiropractic Association, 45% of people between the ages of 16 and 24 already had back pain. And that was a study in 2015. They looked at the 2014 studies. That went up 60% in 1 year. It's looking down at phones all day long. It's devastating for me. And gamers are left in agitated states for hours afterwards. It affects your blood pressure. It affects your hormones. It makes you a different person. University of Maryland found smartphone use made you more selfish. Interesting, isn't it? It made you more that they just meant that you engaged in activities that benefited you more than society. That's how they defined selfishness. Now, if you listen to my radio show, you know this one too. Remember the research I mentioned from Ohio State. Ohio State did a study a few years ago, and I don't know where they come up with these ideas, but they're brilliant. And they gave people Tylenol, and then they had to read a scenario of something that happened. And the people who took Tylenol showed less empathy. So, you know, other people weren't on Tylenol go, oh my God, what? That's horrible. And the other they're like, okay, what's next? Tylenol affects your empathy. That means it's affecting how you think. Do you get that? We're constantly altering our brain, and we're hoping good things are going to happen. It's not going to. These are universities doing this research. Solutions. Hey, guess what? Limited time. Everything in moderation? No. Everything is not. you shouldn't do everything in moderation. Some things you should do very, very little bits of, or not at all when it comes to social media. Some people aren't designed to deal with social media, so they should turn it off. If you're gonna change some things, well, turn your TV off at least an hour before bed. That's a blue screen that you're looking at, that's part of it. Engage in activities that require memory, pattern recognition, interactive behaviors, playing cards or board games. You know, it's good for you, it's good for your brain. It's better for your body. Remember, you were meant to move, that's God's plan for your life. You're not supposed to sit on your butt all the time. Do you view your smartphone as a stupid phone? Because it really is. My phone is way smarter than me, because it does things. I know like 2 or 3 features on my phone, and you know what, with me, that's great. I can check my weather. I could probably use it as a GPS, but boy, it's probably going to take me a while to figure that one out. I can take a text, I can take a phone call, and I can sometimes Google. But why would I Google with this when I have a computer that I'll just say, oh, I'll do that later, and I'll go. But everything isn't that you have something you have to do exactly right now. Society is about this instantness now, and I just don't think that's a really healthy thing either. Rely on your memory. Stop relying on Google, Alexa, Siri, all these people that we listen all these people that we listen to. Start making better choices, solutions. Eye exercise. The eye exercise is, they say 20-20. So if I'm looking at a computer, they say look at the computer for 20 seconds, then look at a faraway object for 20 seconds, and then look back. What they're trying to do is to get your lens to accommodate. Again, there's some muscles in your eye called ciliary muscles. Unfortunately, no matter what I've learned in school, I can't forget some of this stuff. I'd like to. But the ciliary muscles, they have to get stretched to allow your cornea to contract, and then that will help the light hit the retina at the right angle. Now my glasses now take care of some of those things for me because my ciliary muscles aren't strong enough to do those things. And that can happen with some people when they get older. But when you're looking at the screen, if you're constantly looking at it, it's almost like a muscle gets stuck in one position and then it just doesn't move freely again. That's why 20 seconds away, 20 seconds back, 20 seconds away. That's an exercise that can help you. So some real simple things there. You could add filters to your computer screen. You can go online and find out about these things. Proper screen heights. You can take omega-3s, they're anti-inflammatory, so those are vitamins that you could take that will certainly help you. And remember, tech doesn't make you lazy. Your choices make you lazy. Alright? We can't blame tech for doing all these things. You've decided what to do. You have free will. You can decide to do this or decide to do that. God gave you 10 commandments, not just some good ideas. Alright? So you can decide what you're going to do with your life. My suggestion is try to make better choices because I think your outcomes are going to be better. Chiropractic portion tonight. Nervous system, it runs everything. I know people are concerned about their low back, they're concerned about their neck pain and their arm pain. What you don't understand is these same nerves that are pinched in your neck or your lower back. In your neck, they go to your heart, your lungs, they go to your thyroid. In your lower back, they go to your colon, they go to your prostate. This is nothing that I came up with. This is simple anatomy. And if someone explained that to you, you'd understand why you need to see a chiropractor. Because you're not seeing me because you're sick. You're seeing me so I can teach you how to not be sick. That's what people pay me for in the office. Where your medical doctor only gets paid when you get sick. Kind of a bad model, isn't it? And you go back sick again, and you think germs make you sick. Hey, if germs made you sick, shouldn't your doctor be dead by now? Yeah, germs don't make you sick. Germs make sick people sick. So you know what? Don't be sick. If I'm stronger than a germ, I don't have to worry about a germ. But if I run my body down, eat too much sugar, don't get to sleep, don't get my exercise, and now the germ is the same strength as me, it's going to whoop my butt. I don't want that. I want to be stronger than a germ in every case, because if I'm stronger, then I can fight off the germ. And if I'm as strong as a germ and I end up getting sick and someone says, well, let's give you antibiotics, and let's say it is actually a bacteria instead of a virus, although 9 out of 10 cases it's a virus. If I kill the bacteria, it still doesn't make me stronger because the bacteria are going to go right back to the same level. You have to be stronger than the germ. That's the only way you can avoid sickness. So that's why I don't get sick. It's not like I'm superhuman, I'm just stronger than germs. And eventually I'll become weaker than germs, and then when I die, all the germs and bacteria in my body will consume me. Because right now the balance is there and it's good, but when I'm not alive, there's no force of God flowing through my body to keep that balance. That's when the bacteria will consume my body. See, we're in a balance with nature. Trying to kill bacteria is a bad idea because they will kill you way quicker. They can adapt way, way quicker than you can. So my job is just to make sure these superhighways are clear. I don't make you better. God heals. I remove the interference. God needs no help. He simply needs no interference, where medicine thinks that they heal you. My profession is the only one that acknowledges your body's designed to heal on its own. And if you can understand that, you'll take better care of the temple of the Holy Spirit. But if you don't understand that, then you think that it's about germs and genes. When bones slip out of place, it puts damaging pressure on the nerve roots, and then those nerve roots go to vital organs in your body. So it's real simple. Brain, spinal cord, proper alignment is what you need. And then there's this constant communication, a circular communication that goes on. But as soon as a bone slips out of place and affects information going up or information going down, it's no different than someone having 4 drinks and then perceiving the world differently. Of course you're perceiving the world differently because you're not able to comprehend the world the same way. My job is to tune the body up so that doesn't happen. And when I do that, amazing things happen. People get better. Their lifestyle gets better. Their bodies heal. I don't heal people. I'm just the vehicle. Now you have to figure out what your next steps are in life. I know what my next steps are. I want to be healthy when I get older. I want to be able to get around and view the world and still stand up straight. But to do that, I have to make specific choices in my life. You've got the phases of degeneration in front of you. You'll see to the far left what a near normal spine looks like. There's this beautiful curve, and the bones are all nice and square. I have patients in their 80s that look like that. So aging is not an arthritic condition that happens to a lot of people. People get the words common and normal mixed up. Common and normal are different words. Common is what happens to most people because they don't know. Normal is what's supposed to happen. All right? You need to understand these words are absolutely different. And when your spine gets into a bad position, it is designed to grow bone. It's designed, if I break my arm, thank God I can grow bone, because then I can use my hand forever and ever. You hurt your neck, you end up in phase 2 degeneration, and your doctor says, well, you're supposed to have phase 2 because you're old. It's like, well, you're not. And your body is trying to stabilize itself, because in there is the spinal cord that runs every organ in your body. So it's pretty hard to convince me there's good bone growth and there's bad bone growth. You know what there is? There's bone growth. You put good and bad on it, and in most cases you haven't thought it all the way through. Your body is designed. Medical doctors would never cut you open if they didn't believe the body could heal, because they'd say, gee, I wonder if they can grow skin. Of course they can grow skin. They might put the skin close together, but you grow the skin. You've forgotten that. You've forgotten that you're a superhero and your body does a million things every second to keep you alive. You can grow skin. You can make red blood cells. It takes you 4 months to regrow your entire heart. You're just doing it cell by cell. So, we can't take out a heart and say, well, let's see what happens in 4 months. Well, you'd be dead in 4 months. So cell by cell, you replace yourself. Every 30 days, you replace your entire layer of skin. You don't shed it like a snake. You grow it, and it comes from beneath, and then we lose the cells on the top. Your lungs take 9 months to grow. Every cell in your body, within a year, 80% of the cells that are in your body are dead and gone. You are the greatest recycler alive. You just don't even understand that you're doing it. And you don't even have to think about it. That's the amazing thing about it. And then you get your headache and you go, oh, my body's not working right. Where's the aspirin? And it's like, boy, you missed out. Your body's trying to tell you something. It's trying to save your life, and you're throwing a toxic drug in there with the thought you're going to heal yourself. That's what we teach people in our office. That's why we do workshops. So if you're a guest tonight, I hope you had a good time. You have a choice. You can get to the next workshop. You can go book an appointment with me. It's your choice. But the reality is, if you don't know what phase of degeneration you're in, you might want to find out. Because if you're great, I'll tell you. If you're not great, I got to tell you that news too. Because if you leave it, it will get worse. Phase 2 goes to phase 3. It doesn't get better on its own. It never has. Oh, sorry, I'm 2 minutes over. That's all I can say. Well, I'm going to still be here for a while if anyone has any questions. There is a sign up for the next workshop that we're doing, the Keto Night. The Keto Night is going to be fun because what Linda's gonna do is she'll have some recipes out here. It kind of starts like a potluck dinner here. So you'll be given a recipe that you're not going to alter. You're gonna do everything on the recipe and not spice it up the way you want to. And then you're gonna bring it in, and then there'll be like 6 or 7 other different dishes. Then you get a chance to sample. So basically you get dinner here, and then we're gonna talk about the ketogenic diet. We're gonna talk about how that looks compared to paleo? I always say it wrong. Paleo diet, and compared to something in Maximize Living we call an advanced diet. So we're going to show you different diets and different commitment levels you're making to it. And with a diet, we eat a lot better from Monday to Friday than we do on Saturday and Sunday, okay? And that's where people get confused, because they think they eat perfect all the time. It's like, look, if you have a bad eating day, that's okay. Have salads and soup the next couple of days, you're going to be fine. So we eat really well during the week. I think this week I might have had a little bit of sugar. I had grains on 2 out of 4 days. So, I might have a grain every day or 2, but I don't have grains every day. And you just have to eat something else. So when we sit down to have eggs, we'll have 4 eggs. I'll have 4 eggs, and I won't have toast. So I've gotten my calories, but I haven't put the carbs in there. People are always wanting you to eat carbs. Carbs are cheap. And once again, I'm not saying you should never eat them, but when they're constantly in the form of grains, they're bad for their body and they're putting stress on your body. If you could eat less grains and more avocados, you'd be healthier. So that's what we're going to be talking about, the different types of diet. And then you'll be eating some ketogenic food, because most people are like, I don't know if I like it. Well, you can come here that night, you can make your one dish, or if you don't want to come, you can come just to the talk afterwards. But if you're going to come to the dinner before, you're making something, all right? We're not making dinner for everyone. You're bringing in a dish, we're bringing in a dish, and then you get to sample the other dishes. Then you'll get to know, hey, wait a second, all these are good, or I didn't like that one, so there's no point in making that one. That's why we have our recipe nights, or we usually call them a vital cuisine night, because you have to understand this food is what you're going to turn into your body. And if you put better food into your body would work better. So if you're going to sign up for that, just go up to the front, sign up, we'll get you on the list, and then you can get more information. But you need to have that next step. There needs to be that, I'm going to go home and look up EMF tonight. I'm going to go home and look at a filter for my phone so I'm not burning the back of my retinas out. That's what you need to go with a workshop, is to go home and figure out what you need to do. And I know what I need to do, just like anyone else. I go home and say, well, I have to do this and that better. I have to unplug my router at night. How hard is that? But you just don't bother doing it every night. It'll reset in the morning. But every night I'm getting all these waves when I don't need them. Cool. So I'll still be here. We'll be here for a while. If you have any questions, stick around. If you have to race off somewhere, I understand. But understand what your next step is. And if you'd love to sign up for something, go up and meet us at the front desk. Thanks.